drag persona is an alien, and I'm always trying to give this sort of galactic feel.
Irene the Alien, out of this world. But first she was just a kid who had to get out of Texas.
Tell me who Ian Hill was as a child.
Ian Hill was a weird kid and was very creative.
Eventually creating a place in Seattle, finally, that felt like home. The drag stage, a career where she could pour all her creativity.
You could flex it.
I could flex and I could use it to make money.
The biggest flex of all, RuPaul's Drag Race.
Professionally, it's sort of the seal of approval. It's the end-all, be-all.
But what happens when the be-all ends all too early?
And it was like PTSD that night. Every dream I had was replaying that. Every moment awake was replaying that.
In this season finale of Hit and Miss, I'm helping her lace back up.
They do not want to hurt you, clearly.
Oh, honey, don't worry.
Primed and ready to be alienated.
You sound like you've been to therapy about this.
That's very sweet, thank you.
Success is messy, and this is what it looks like. Hit and Miss is about really successful people and their mistakes. You have to keep taking your best shot again and again, and it is going to be Hit and Miss.
Hi, everybody. This is the last episode for season 1 of Hit and Miss, and thank you for being along for this journey. And what a finale, the most flamboyant fail. Irene the Alien's home drag stage is on Capitol Hill, and she made it to the biggest stage, RuPaul's Drag Race, an out-of-this-world chance. She'd sent half a dozen audition tapes, finally got on for season 10, and then before her hairspray had even dried, it all came undone. She was the first contestant voted off, over before it really began, and she'd come so far, establishing herself in Seattle after leaving Texas with nothing but the big hair on her head. So how many wigs do you have?
Styled wigs, probably 50.
Can I ask how much something like that costs?
Yes, this wig was, if I remember correctly, $700.
How many different outfits do you have?
At least 100.
Where do you keep everything?
I have a 3-bedroom apartment, and one of the bedrooms is my drag room.
Irene the Alien travels with a lot of luggage, not baggage. There is a big difference.
Let's go.
The luggage is essential because becoming Irene is a journey, and I'm getting invited along. First by Ian Hill.
Tell me who Ian Hill was as a child.
Ian Hill was a weird kid and was very creative. My mom put a lot of emphasis on making sure I had an extracurricular activity that I was sort of really interested in. And we tried everything. We did karate and baseball and swim team, and none of that really stuck. And then we tried Shakespeare camp. And from that point on, I was addicted to the stage.
Do you remember what that was like when you discovered that?
I do, and you know what is so crazy is the very first play I did at Shakespeare camp was A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Yeah.
And I was cast as Flute, who in the play is in a play where he plays a woman. So my very first time on stage, I was in drag, and I guess I got a taste for it.
And you knew you were home, right?
I was like, this is it. We're gonna take this all the way to the bank.
So how did you go from performing arts to drag?
It was interesting. When I was in high school, I found myself really interested in things like heels and makeup and wigs, and I didn't really have a way to connect all of that. And then when I was 17 years old, I saw a Drag Race for the first time.
Yeah.
And it's like all the gears in my brain clicked into place. And I was like, oh, that is everything that I want to do. And from that point on, it was sort of this secret moving my life in that direction. Every choice I made, it was in service of this is going to get me closer to being a professional drag queen, even if that wasn't what I was advertising to the world.
That's not necessarily a mainstream realization for anybody, let alone someone who grew up in Houston also.
100%.
Did you have to be secret about that? Were you open about it?
I did. At the time, Drag Race was still in its infancy, and the ceiling for what a drag queen could become was still relatively low. You know, wanting to be a professional drag queen meant I wanted to work in bars and lip sync for a living. And there weren't brand deals and stuff like that, but it was still very important to me that I, learn the craft. So I was practicing makeup before every shower that I took so that I could wipe it off afterwards. And when I was in college, I took a costuming class where I learned to sew.
Were you scared someone would find out?
Yeah. At the time, there wasn't really someone that I could point to and say, but look, I could become this. So The expectation was that I was going to become an actor and probably move to LA or New York and try to make a career that way. And there was this sense that if I went into drag, I was abandoning the sort of prospects for success to follow this dream. So I definitely kept it a secret for a long time.
Let's go back to seeing Drag Race.
Yeah.
Tell me how you discovered it and what you saw that made you go, oh.
It was just watching people come in drag. I had never seen anything like that before. You know, there weren't drag queens on TV yet, and it just, I don't know, it was so magical.
Do you remember exactly what you saw?
I do. It's vivid. It's burned into my brain. I remember the first time I saw Raven walk into the workroom. She had taken makeup to a place it had not gone yet. It was just this sense of, I was enamored. I was blown away. I had never seen anything like it, and I knew I was looking at something special.
What would describe it for me?
Well, she was doing more than just wearing makeup. She had used makeup to recreate her bone structure, and she was painting something almost otherworldly. And I knew I loved it. I knew I'd never seen anything like it, and I knew I wanted it for myself. I had been bullied in Texas for being a flamboyant, feminine person, and to watch these men and women, trans women, who had taken that aspect of themselves that I also had, that I had been bullied for, and to turn it into a strength, to turn it into the thing that they used as their power in the world. It was very empowering to me, and I think that is what attracted me to it, is I still had that femininity and I still had that flamboyancy, and I didn't know what I was going to do with it. And drag gave me a place to put that and a way to use that to empower myself.
You could flex it.
I could flex it, and I could use it to make money. I could use it for social connections. I could use it to move through the world instead of masking it. I didn't even come out of the closet until I was 19.
And that was after your RuPaul experience,
100%,
right?
yeah. So I had already started messing around with drag. I had already started doing makeup in secret. So here I am doing makeup, taking it off in the shower, leaving and going, yeah, I'm straight.
Tell me about coming out to your parents.
So there was a certain uncertainty that I had before coming out as both gay and a drag queen. You know, I felt like my parents were supportive, accepting people, but I didn't know until I actually put them to the test. And luckily they passed with flying colors. But yeah, it was sort of, that fear came from watching other people.
Sure.
And hearing on Drag Race people talk about their experiences of, you know, coming out and their families completely abandoning them. There comes a time when the desire to bloom outweighs the desire to be safe, and I had to bloom.
And then did they say, well, we want to see you?
Absolutely, yeah.
And what was their feedback?
Wow, you look amazing. That's you? Oh my gosh, I can't even believe it. Which, you know, is what every drag queen wants to hear.
Do you know many other performers who had such a positive experience as you, coming out to their family? Really?
I'm very lucky to have a mom who is actually very enthusiastic.
Yeah, yeah.
And comes and tips everybody. Yeah.
Ian got a Bachelor of Fine Arts from Southern Methodist University, but no cap and gown pics of him because graduation weekend, Irene went down to LA instead for DragCon and met RuPaul. And shortly after, packed the luggage, left the baggage, and moved to Seattle. Irene got established in the local drag scene and kept evolving layer after layer, hairspray, glamour, gumption. She invited me to witness the evolution in real time.
It starts with wiping away all of my natural features, hiding the man, and then I'll use contours and highlights to emphasize the parts of my face that are more feminine.
So tell me what you're hiding right now.
Yeah, so I'm gonna use this to sort of hide how wide my jawline is. And I'm going to make my nose look thinner and make my cheeks look lower.
Your look.
Yeah.
Was there anyone you had in mind, or just looking at your face and imagining different?
And I've sort of settled on this really intense, angled, cat-like alien situation.
Do you start feeling different as you're getting ready?
You know, I think at the beginning I did. At the beginning there was this thing inside me that had lived inside me all along, and drag helped me unlock that. The version of me that is unapologetic. The version of me that is confident enough to say what I mean and mean what I say.
So how is Irene distinctive?
In the way my performances are cohesive, the costume and the mix and everything tells a story, and it all goes together, and it is one succinct piece.
Or rather, a lot of pieces come together to make this puzzle work, this out-of-this-world alien. The makeup, the wigs, the outfits, the body parts, the attitude. She's got to do the work to work it.
You know, I'm doing right now 5 shows a week, doing multiple shows at the same venue every week, where we have regulars and members of the audience who have seen everything that I do, and there's the pressure to give them something new. And
The successful level of performers, like people who have really made it. How much are they making?
I mean, the ceiling is high. There are millionaire drag queens now.
Yeah.
There are multi-millionaire drag queens now with makeup businesses, their own television shows.
Now, at the same time, it seems like the political atmosphere over the last big handful of years, now the whole like drag, reading sessions at libraries have become vilified. Did that take the genre backwards at all, or just in certain places it's gotten more demonized?
For sure, yeah. So the knee-jerk reaction to drag that we're seeing on the right, I don't think is necessarily about drag as much as it is about a reaction to the world opening up to trans people and to people who exist outside of the gender binary. We as drag performers have a responsibility to lead the fight against that response. It's really important that we recognize that a lot of opportunities that exist for drag performers today exist because of trans women, and specifically trans women of color, who fought when it wasn't as easy to fight and when it was much riskier to fight. And so now it's our turn.
Do you think it has gotten any more or less dangerous over the last?
It's definitely gotten more dangerous.
Yeah.
I know queens who've had their personal lives doxxed on the internet because of drag, because of people trying to ruin them or whatever, and people who don't feel comfortable walking to their cars alone because they're afraid someone will jump them or something like that. It's a fear campaign, and it's hard not to let it work. It's hard not to be afraid because it's a very real threat. Violence is always on the horizon.
Have you ever experienced it?
I have. I've been out in drag and had someone try to force his way into my car. And I had to fight him off with a hat pin.
With the hat pin?
I had to pull a hat pin out of my hat. It was a long needle, and I had to sort of, threaten to shank him to get him out of my car. And it was terrifying. I didn't want to have to shank him.
Yeah.
It's not my desire to hurt anybody. But it was really scary.
Yeah.
It is the cost of finding yourself when others want you to get lost. But she owns it. She is proudly Irene the Alien, not the alienated.
What is the most challenging part of getting ready?
I think makeup is it's one of the bigger barriers to entry for drag. I've seen eyebrows in all dimensional planes of the face. They've got different starting points, different ending points. I've seen eyebrows who are not related, never met each other before. Gluing down your eyebrows is really hard, especially if you've got some more difficult to tame eyebrows, some bushy ones. But the technique of gluing down your eyebrows took a really long time for me to master.
What is your favorite feature of yourself?
I really like my legs. I think I got blessed with some really good stems.
Good gams.
Some nice gams. And I love the way I contour my nose.
Yeah.
Makeup and hair mastered.
Ta-da!
Fantastic.
Pads complete the pomp. Then the final layer just needs some cinching.
It's just gonna lace up like a shoe. It's pretty easy.
A first for me.
I do not want to hurt you, clearly.
Oh, honey, don't worry. The organs go wherever they go.
She looks flawless. It's taken her less than an hour and a half today, but 10 years in total. Time spent in front of mirrors, cameras, audiences. improving and refining, including 5 audition tapes for Drag Race.
I'm a bad banana with a greasy black tea.
The 6th finally did the trick.
And now for the piece de resistance. There she is, boys. It's me! It's me.
She got invited to compete on the show that changed her life, and she hoped it would change it again.
Tell me about when you found out that you were going to be on the show.
The sigh of relief that I never have to wonder if I'm going to be on the show again. Now I know I get to be on Drag Race. No matter what happens, I did it. I made it there. I never have to worry about trying to get on again.
I'm surprised you say relief, not excitement.
You see the end of the rainbow, and you have to get on the show to get there. It was the relief was knowing that I made it to the end of the rainbow. And I guess I was also excited, you know, because on the other end of that is everything that potentially comes after the show.
Sure. And where did your mind go? What the potential was? What did you see for yourself?
The fantasy that I had built up in my head of what going on that show was like. I was going to get to meet RuPaul, who's a hero of mine. I was going to get to see behind the scenes of this show that I've been watching for a decade and just sort of be a part of the history that has shaped me.
First, she had to invent more than a dozen looks and face 15 competitors, every queen wanting the crown.
I imagine there's camaraderie.
For sure.
So what is that like to be kind of like a little catty, but with the people that you're trying to kind of help out?
Well, hopefully there's an understanding. Definitely, I mean, I've got a fast mouth on me. Sometimes my mouth works faster than my brain. And I would say things that I was like, ooh, I hope that doesn't make it to air.
Marsha, you have a real eye for fashion. It's a shame you don't have the clothes for it.
Hopefully there's an understanding with the people there that we're all making a TV show together and that we say things on camera sometimes for entertainment purposes rather than because we mean them.
I know you're a construction worker, so it would be really easy to do a joke or a pun about how your face is a brick, but I want to go in a completely different direction. You're a whore.
Just take me through your performance on the show.
So the very first day I'm there, I won.
What was the challenge?
We were posing in front of an old car while the pit crew washed the car and then sprayed us with the hose as well. And we had to do our best to pose and model and be glamorous while covered in water. And I guess I did the best job at that and also had a good time doing it and made Rue laugh. And so hearing my name get called as the very first winner of the very first mini challenge, it was very exciting and I felt very confident, and it was sort of this wave of, okay, I do belong here. I'm in the right place at the right time.
But right place, right time changed on a dime
And welcome back to Cosmic Cooking with Irene.
with this act.
Today, we're going to be making one of my favorite recipes from a small planet in the Milky Way galaxy called Earth.
A comedy bit that had killed in the clubs for years, a recipe for...
A glass of ice water. And it's so easy to make.
She adapted it for the talent challenge. The safe choice is a music number, but Irene took a chance.
Tell me about how you got that act together.
It was just this sort of parody of a YouTube tutorial and the parody of YouTube tutorial culture. And the concept was essentially, what is the stupidest, most simple thing that I could do, but give it my all to teach people how to do it. Mm-hmm. Comedy comes from the juxtaposition there.
The next step is we're just going to take a little bit of ice.
And then when I shrunk it for the show, I think, hindsight's 2020, I think I eliminated a lot of the beats that were responsible for making it funny. On Drag Race, we film everything twice to make sure that we get it for camera. And so I had to do the talent show twice. Mm-hmm. And the first time I did it, obviously, I didn't know how people were gonna react. And so as I was performing it, I was watching the judges and everyone sort of not ever get on board with what I was doing and sort of crack a pity smile or something. Then I had to do it again.
Oh.
Already knowing that it didn't go over well.
I mean, how do you deal with, even just after your first eye contact and you're seeing it's not landing?
Doing comedy and it not landing is one of the most painful experiences as a performer. I can't even watch someone do bad comedy. It makes me cringe so much. I think for the second one, I just had an out-of-body experience. I sort of astral projected to the judges panel and was watching myself like, ha 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 ha, I'll clap for you. Ariana Grande sitting there watching me, and she was the one who's kind of like, uh-huh. And the second one was for me, because I already knew that nobody else wanted to see it.
Did you know before you did that you were taking a big risk?
Of course, someone doing an original song that they wrote and then lip syncing to that. That's the go-to. And that had been established. So my first instinct was, well, that's what everybody's gonna do. So let me go in the complete opposite direction to set myself apart. You know, I'm a Seattle drag queen, and in the Seattle drag scene, it's really important to set yourself apart. One of the things that makes this scene so special is that being unique is celebrated here. And I thought that that would be my strength going in, is even if I swing and miss, I will receive extra credit for taking a risk. And I missed so astronomically that that extra credit still didn't bump me up to a high enough grade.
When you were walking off the stage, what did that feel like?
Okay, that didn't work. You need to prepare for what comes next.
And what came next?
And it was like PTSD that night. Every dream I had was replaying that. Every moment awake was replaying that. I mean, I have vivid memories of the whole thing. It's also helpful for remembering that it is filmed and on television, and everyone else has seen it too. So everyone else has a memory of it as well.
What a lot of people remember, Irene had the stuff to go deeper, but she took a risk that tanked. She was the first person kicked off.
Your career so far, post-show, how does that compare with what you had imagined it would be post-show?
It's definitely not, there aren't as many opportunities. My role right now is first out. And the first out role, for the most part, sees a little bit of travel opportunity post-show. The opportunities don't just effortlessly roll in. It takes a lot more work to create opportunities for yourself, and I definitely don't want to think of myself as getting the short end of the stick. The tools that I have to work with maybe aren't as sharp as the tools that are given to the finalists.
You sound like you've been to therapy about this.
That's very sweet, thank you. I think the hardest part was after it aired and watching everybody else on my season sort of skyrocket and elevate and get all these opportunities, and to see myself not necessarily have them come effortlessly as I was perceiving them to come to other people.
The winner got $200,000, and that's just the start. People who make it deep can make millions. Lots of travel, sponsorships, appearance fees balloon.
So making the decision to distinguish yourself and be yourself cost you a little bit, at least on the show.
Definitely.
Did it pay off in other ways?
I'm fortunate enough that when we have events like DragCon, I had a line at my booth the whole weekend, and it wasn't the longest line, but I had a line. People did connect with what I did because I took the risk and showed maybe the riskier part of my sense of humor, but I showed my sense of humor. I would rather be connected with the audience who gets me than connected with an audience who just sort of likes me because the show told them to.
She knows who she is, Irene the Alien, comfortable in her painted skin that's now grown thicker. She is the drag queen who's been dragged but gotten back up. She will not sashay away.
Definitely had a breakdown post-show, and just coping with the loss of the dream, you know, dealing with the expectations versus reality. It was hard, for sure, but now I look at it as an opportunity to humble myself, to grow as a person, and to realize that you can fail so astronomically, and it's okay. I'm okay. I'm actually doing very, very well, and I am a lot less afraid of failure now. Growing up, my mom always used to say to me, I think you're afraid of success. I don't think I'm afraid of success. I'm terrified of failure. And I failed, you know, I faced my fear. And here I am on the other side of it, and I'm doing great. So I failed, but I am not a failure.
She certainly is not. The show recognized Irene made a mistake, but she had more to offer, so they offered her another shot. On RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars Season 10, she can try again. You could say no one's better with the makeup, and she is one of the favorites to win. Irene has faced her mistakes and she's learned from them, just like all the other wonderful people in this first season of Hit and Miss. All distinguished in their fields, all candid about mistakes along the way. Thanks to all of them for allowing us to listen, laugh, and cringe. Success is a mess, and this is what it looks like. It is a lot of hit and miss.